Hey, welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to go around this Bobcat T66. I'm going to show you guys some of the things I look for whenever I'm looking to buy machines and things to check out. Maybe you'll learn a thing or two. But this one's about due for its 1,000-hour service. This is not our machine. This is Scott's Building Center in Greenup, Illinois. And nice people. They've got a little fleet of rental stuff that we take care of for them. But we're going to go through, do oil changes, check different things, final drives, tracks, wear, things like that. So stay with us and we'll go through it together. Thanks. So the first thing we're going to do is get in the cab and get the oil warmed up. This one's getting kind of dirty. Guess maybe I should have had this done before I got in here, huh? 253.
We're just gonna get the oil good warmed up in the engine, that way it drains out easily.
This has been running a little bit already, so we don't have to run it too long. Let's just give it a quick walk around, look at tracks. I'd call these tracks somewhere around 30%. They've got some tread left on them. See the cross section of this track, and the lugs are just about even. You can run these things so they're flat, but you don't get very good traction out of them. Undercarriage all looks pretty good on it. On these Bobcats, you'll notice oil seeping out of these holes right here, or out of this lip. If these wheels start to go bad, it's an oil filled roller. All looks pretty good. Straight. Sometimes guys will run their tracks too tight and they'll start to see grooves wore out in these. They'll start to look like sprockets instead of rollers. These look pretty good. Not much wear at all on those. A little bit of a cup on there, but I wouldn't worry about it. Kill this one. So those sprockets look pretty good too. Those are nice. Oil coming up out of there. So we were wanting to change these drive hubs, or sorry, the brake chambers. Last time it was here. Classic Bobcat stickers, not worth a hoot. There's your oil filter back in there. Oil drains the tube that's down the bottom of the belly down there. We'll take the pan off to drain that. We've got a suction machine that will pull out of the engine dipstick, but for the sake of showing you how to do it, we'll just do it the normal way. Fuel filters. Not too bad at all up there. And normal. It's a little bit below full. Alright, let's get started on it. We'll start by taking this pan off down the bottom. Get to where we can drain the oil, get that started, and be right back. All right, let's get this tube fished out of here. This is the one I'm talking about for the oil drain. It's got a cap on it. It goes right down into that hole right there that we just made. You see it hanging out right there. All right, let's get this oil drained out of here. That'll take a little while. So while that's doing that, we'll go around and get some of these other smaller filters and things that are easy to get to out of the way. Let's open up a vent. Let that oil out a little easier. Yeah. This is one thing that I'm not super impressed with these Bobcat R series. These air filters just get absolutely plugged full in a short amount of time. So you can see this has got 300 hours on it roughly. I wouldn't doubt it's probably been beat out 2 or 3 times. It is completely full. So we'll replace that one. The inner looks pretty good. So we'll leave that one in there. Here's your part numbers. Right there. Might need 2 hands to get that. Alright, that's an easy one to mess with. Let's do a couple of cab filters. This filter's one that really gets ignored a lot too. Is this recirc filter behind the cab. We changed this one the last time it was in here too. I'm gonna guess somebody's been running this with the door open quite a bit. These will make a heck of a difference if they're plugged up and you're trying to run in the summer and your AC just doesn't feel like it's quite needing to keep up. These filters are the first ones to check. That's all there is for that one. And there's one on the side for the fresh air. It's this one right here. Just pops out of there. These get wet and get caked up pretty bad too. See, this one's been wet in the bottom right there. pretty full. See, got different colors in there. They are really full. Just slide that back in. Throw that one in the bin. And we'll start looking at fuel filters. What we're going to do is drain this out, take this bottom off, take this one off, and then the fun really begins to try to get this inline filter off that's hiding back inside here. Okay, I'm going to start draining the fuel out of the bottom of this and unhook there's a water and fuel sensor right here. Go ahead and undo that, set it to the side. Spinning the wires whenever it comes loose. Go ahead and crack that. Goes. That's probably got enough out of it. More. It was spilt a little. Pretty clean. And we'll leave this off so we can get back to the second filter a lot easier. Let this thing drain out. Okay, here's this inline filter. What I like to do is take this hose loose, hose clamp loose, slide this one off, unplug this sensor. That way you've got room to get this out of here. And we just start taking it off. See if I can get you sit down somewhere where you can see. There's just not a very good spot in here for it. Might be about the best it gets right there. That one off. Then there's a hose clamp that holds this plate next to the fuel tank. Just loosen it up. And drop this straight down through and out right through that sensor we unplugged. And now we can get to it. Empty that out. And take this one off. Now these are sized differently, so you cannot put these on backwards. This side's bigger, this side's smaller, and the fuel flow is marked on here. So the fuel will come from the top side down to the bottom side. That back in, just go the exact opposite way you came out. Let's go up from the bottom. gotta hold your tongue just right, but it'll go. That one back on. That one tightened up. Put that sensor back in. Yeah, that would be a little bit of a bear to get to. All right. Let's take this over to the bench and we'll swap the bases out. And we're back at the bench. Just clamp this in here. Be careful because these can crack. Don't squeeze them too much and try to get hooked onto one of these ribs. They come off pretty easy. Just like that. And before we put a new O-ring in, clean this groove out. They tend to accumulate a lot of crap. Sure as we can clean as we can get it. Loctite's pretty good for those. We can snug it up if we got a little bit of a leak later on. This thing gets pretty crapped up too. Let's clean it out real quick. Okay, we can go put it back on the machine. Just a little bit of diesel and rep around here. And plug in your water and fuel sensors. That's got our fuel filters done. All of our oil drained out. Looks like a little bit on the floor. Not unusual for me, I guess. Tightened up and we'll put it back up inside there. That's just a JIC plug, so it doesn't take a lot to get it tight. And go ahead and pull this tube. Set it down on the belly pan where it belongs. These guys are actually pretty good about keeping their stuff clean. At least there's not a big pile of dirt in the bottom of this thing when we're trying to work on it. Okay, we'll get that cover put back on and then we'll add some oil. Okay, there's really no easy way to get these things off without making a mess, so we've got our free catch can down there. This thing's right in your way to see, isn't it? There, does that work for you? Better? we can contain this mess at least a little bit. That sucker's tight, that's for sure. Nope. Looks like we missed our plastic funnel. Make sure there's not two seals on there when you put it back together. Otherwise you'll have a nice little fountain back here. Quick check. Gotta be getting close. Just a touch more. Let's go up in the cab and we'll prime the fuel system. Get this thing started up. You'll hear the fuel pumps kick on. And they'll sound like they're spinning pretty freely. And we're just getting the air out of them. These things aren't a manual bleed like the M series and G series were. I'll make sure it's filling up. Yeah, we got fuel in there. You can hear the air bubbles moving through if you listen. Again, that's the air bubbles coming out of the return on the tank. Whenever all that air's out, that noise will stop. Let it go through one more time just to make sure it's primed. Okay. Done. Guess we changed an air filter and cabin filters while we were doing that. Get this thing pulled off these blocks and down on the ground. We'll work on final drives. Okay, instead of taking it off the ramps, I decided we need to service the hydraulics while we're in here, since it's 1,000 hours. A little easier when it's up in the air, not have to bend over quite as bad. But while I was in here, I wanted to show you one of the major problems that's plagued these Bobcat machines, especially these R series, not the G's. See all that corrosion? That's just a bus bar that's left down here, and this is right in front of the cab. So obviously crap comes over this, it gets wet, runs right down into this bus bar, and you can see that this thing's corroded. And this is a 22 model, I believe it is. I think they actually did change this in 23 and 24, but if you've got the newer G series or newer R series, have a look at these and keep them clean. They will for sure be a spot for electrical problems in the future. See, this one's a little bit loose already. So is that one. It's all right, but we'll take those off, get them cleaned up, and put them back on, put some battery protector on them. But you guys have these machines, keep an eye on this, especially if you start having just off the wall electrical problems, you know, things that just don't make sense, things that aren't related. This is your first step right here. So you can see where it's at, right behind the front step. Well, since we found all the corrosion down here, we had to go get some parts to fix that, so we got it all cleaned up. But we're going to go ahead and continue on with the hydraulic system. So this hose, if you've never changed these before, will be wound up back in this corner right here with zip ties. Just undo it. There's a panel right here that comes off. There's two 15mm carriage bolts and a nut that keep this plate on. It slides out, comes right out the bottom, so it's a lot handier than what they used to be for sure. Get you lined up there. And this is a tedious, slow process. It's a small hose and there's quite a bit of fluid on it. So what I'll probably do is put our vacuum over here and get that sucked out while that's draining. Alright, we're using our vacuum to suck the rest of this out while the hose drains down there. But this cap will come off of here and allow you to stick that hose down in the sump. For whatever reason, it just won't slide down into the fill hole. But either way, it works. And we'll get it taken out. Really doesn't look bad at all. A little bit dirty, but not terrible. Okay, when this is empty, we'll come back. We're back. We're underneath in the spaghetti hole. So we're back doing hydraulic. We got the tank drained out, vacuumed it out, drained it out the traditional way, as well to speed up the process. And we're ready to change the main hydraulic filter, and this filter down here, I believe that's the case drain filter is what they call that. So let's pull this out. Again, there's no good way to really do this. I mean, you're gonna get oil everywhere. Just try to contain it the best you can with what you got. So we're going to put some pig mats up here. I need something to pry on that with. Yeah, if you can't see, sorry. Little dust swept away so we don't get down in our filter housing. Drip for a second. Set it on our pig mat. You'll see these have an angle on them and a little groove. There's only one way that those will actually go into this cap. So there's no way you can get that in backwards. Yep. You're on tape, so don't just cuss. And slide that back in there. We've got this put back in, screwed back down, so that filter's done. And then this one, you can see is way back in there, right here. Like I said, there's not a good way to get it out. Just throw some pig mats in there to help suck up some oil, and get it loosened up, spin it off, and clean up afterwards is about the best you can do. So we'll get that one off. This is a mess, changing this filter. I mean, there's going to be oil everywhere. Not a very good spot for it, in my opinion, but what do you do? Gosh, that's awful. What a joke. All right, it's still draining oil. Whoever designed this ought to have their head examined. It is a terrible, terrible system. Alright, you want to see what a pain in the ass this actually was? There is a whole belly pan full of oil that's going to have to be rinsed out with hot water. So, nothing like adding another 30 to 45 minutes to your service just to clean up after somebody's terrible design system. But it's done. It's only every 1,000 hours, I guess. So, what's that for normal people? 3 years or so. So I guess it's not absolutely terrible, but certainly wouldn't be my first thought in putting the machine together. And we've got parts back to fix our bus bar down here that was corroded pretty bad. As you can see, we cleaned it up, got everything nice and shiny again, put some battery protector on it, new fuses. This bottom one's a 50 amp, that goes with the red and white wire. We'll get these tightened up whenever we're done with them.
and an 80 amp. And another 80. Down backwards tonight. Got a little overzealous and forgot the wire on this one, didn't I? More up here. This machine was just over at the Bobcat dealership getting some electrical harnesses taken care of. After seeing this, I'm not convinced that that was probably the problem. I'm going to say it was probably more corrosion than anything. But we've got that taken care of, so it'll be good for a little while longer. Okay, we'll move around to the fan filter back there and get that taken care of.
All right, we're going back around. So we got that done. We got the tank drained. Those two filters changed. Let's come around here for the last hydraulic filter up underneath the fan. And once again, there's not a real good way to do this without getting oil everywhere that I'm aware of anyway. Just deal with it with what you can. Like I said, you can always clean it up afterwards. Let that drain out a little bit.
So long-winded threads on this one. Plus you can't move it very good. Just your fingers back in there. There we go. And we'll put a little clean oil on the O-rings here. Oil catcher out of the way. Try not to spill it. Overall, not terrible. Okay, that one's done. Now basically we just need to go and refill our hydraulic tank. So let me go get our barrels and we'll do that real quick. Okay, got our hydraulic oil. Take off a cap. Basically, just pump her till she's full. There's a window right here we'll be looking at, and that'll tell us when we've got enough. Okay, we've got everything off the blocks that we had it up on so we could get oil pans up underneath it. So we've went through 3 hydraulic filters, engine oil filter, air filters, cabin filters, hydraulic fluid. We fixed the fuses that you saw earlier. Now we're going to look at the final drives. Change out this brake chamber that's inside there. This is probably by far one of the most overlooked pieces of maintenance on these skid steers that I see by far. I've seen some of these guys that they just don't do it at all. And from 2016 or 17, somewhere in there, these Bobcats had a hub on here that had one little Allen head in it, and it was super hard and a tedious job to change. The fluid is really thick, and bottom line was they just never got done. So I think it was 2017 they went to this style of hub and a thinner oil, and it works really well actually. So we're going to do this, and then I think this will be basically the last thing we need to do on this besides enter all of our service information in it. So when you're doing these things, pressure builds up in them, so you'll want to loosen your top plug first, let any pressure out that may have been in there. If not, you're going to get an oil bath when you take this bottom one out. Guess I should go the right way. That would help, wouldn't it? These hubs,
depending on your serial number, can take different amounts of oil. So the Bobcat parts website that we were looking at earlier has got capacities on it. So look in your maintenance items and it'll tell you the part number of the oil that you need to get. So part numbers right here, you can see this is 12 ounces for this part number, and that matches the serial number on this machine, the B4S's. So I made this little contraption with the hose on it so you can turn the bottle all the way upside down and still put it in the fill hole up here. So you don't line these up horizontally like you would in a gear reduction or a sun gear type setup. These just specifically hold the amount of oil they're supposed to hold, and that's it. So there's no measure, just buy the right thing from Bobcat and move on. So that one looks pretty well drained out. I'm gonna let you be held by this guy and we'll fill this thing up. Over there.
Okay. Where do I go?
It's right there.
Just right here? Okay. Trying to keep it still, but I keep wobbling side to side.
It takes a little bit to fill these up, but just keep squeezing, it'll go. Inside this is a brake pack. So it uses charge pressure to release the brakes. So if the machine's not running, the brakes are applied. But when the machine starts and you activate your hydraulics, it'll send charge pressure to this brake pack and release it. But they still rub a little bit, so they've got to have this oil in there to take care of that. So I've seen these things completely dry and the brakes will just freeze on them. When that happens, you got to buy a new final or have it rebuilt. I want to say the last final drive we bought was somewhere around $4,500 for these. Just a little bit left.
It turned off for a second.
That's fine. There we go.
That scared me. Good thing I put that bucket there.
All right. That's that side done. We'll erase that and put a new mark on there so we know when we changed it last. We'll do the other side and we'll come back and this one will basically be done. Okay, last thing we're going to do is go into the display up here and record everything we did for it so the next guy knows what's up. So we did more than what was overdue. We did the 1,000-hour service. So we did drive motor brake cavities, engine oil and filter and element, hydraulic main case drains, we did that. Hydraulic fluid we did. We cleaned those. Did that. Did not replace the coolant. We got another 500 hours for that. So add notes. We'll put $1,000 service. And then the dealership LSE. Okay. Record service. All right, that's got everything that we've done to it in the past. So you see LSE gray 355, LSE 1000. So anybody that wants to come in and see the service records on this thing, they're right up there in that monitor. Pretty handy little device to have. So all right, that is the end of this one. I hope you enjoyed watching this. If you learned something, let me know, and we'll come back. I think we're going to try to do maybe a final drive on a dozer next. So thanks for watching. Appreciate it.